Our correspondent Rushdie Abu Alouf reports from the scene of the hospital blast. But first, here's Jeremy Bowen on President Biden's crucial people are thought to have died. Israel says it wasn't responsible, blaming a misfiring rocket from a Palestinian group. President Biden today agreed, saying the evidence he's seen appears to show Israel was not to blame. But many in the Arab world aren't convinced, and there have been protests by thousands of people right across the Middle East. Well, in a moment, our correspondent Rushdie Abu Alouf reports from the scene of the hospital blast. But first, here's Jeremy Bowen on President Biden's crucial diplomatic mission, a warning his report contains some very distressing images.
A car park outside the Al Ahli hospital became a killing ground. The arguments about who's responsible come too late for the people whose lives ended here. Even with their bodies taken away, the cleanup this morning also meant collecting small pieces of flesh. God have mercy, he said. They were civilians. And Mohammed al-Sawafari, a neighbor, can't unsee children with legs blown off and the bodies he helped carry. They all, he said, thought they'd be safe near a hospital. Early this morning at the Defense Ministry in Tel Aviv, the military presented data it said proved Israel did not attack the hospital. Instead, they said it was a malfunctioning rocket fired by Palestinian Islamic Jihad.
The trajectory analysis from the barrage of rockets confirms that the rockets were fired close proximity to the hospital. According to our intelligence, Hamas checked the reports, understood it was an Islamic Jihad rocket that had misfired, and decided to launch a global media campaign to hide what really happened. They went as far as inflating the numbers of casualties.
Coming to Tel Aviv was a gamble for President Biden. He wanted to ease Gaza's humanitarian catastrophe while supporting Israel's war effort, perhaps an impossible circle to square with Israel's leader, Benjamin Netanyahu. But a deal emerged from their meeting. Food, water, and medicine, but no fuel from Egypt to Gaza. For Israel, more military aid and agreement that they didn't hit the hospital.
And based on what I've seen, it appears as though it was done by the other team, not you. I wanted to personally come and make that clear. Thank you for having me, and I'm looking forward to having a thorough discussion about where everybody goes from here.
The president won't change the minds of those who insist Israel attacked the hospital. Joe Biden's presence here will only deepen the conviction among Palestinians and millions of other Arabs that America isn't just on Israel's side, but that it's also complicit in everything Israel is doing in Gaza, including killing civilians. Until the Hamas attacks on Israel, President Biden.
Our correspondent Rushdie Abu Alouf reports from the scene of the hospital blast. But first, here's Jeremy Bowen on President Biden's crucial diplomatic.
Moving to places of what they Gaza following reports of an Israeli air. Let's return to those live pictures coming into us from Gaza following reports of an Israeli airstrike on a hospital in central Gaza. These are pictures, we understand, of another hospital in Gaza where patients from that strike on another hospital are being brought to. The health ministry in Gaza is reporting that there have been 500 casualties in that Israeli airstrike. We don't have those figures verified, but they are reporting that 300 people have been killed. Just want to show you those still images as well that we've had in. And this is pictures that we've had which have been verified of this hospital, the Al Ali Hospital in the centre of the Gaza Strip following that airstrike. Well, let's talk to our correspondent, John Donison, who is following all the developments in Gaza. John, welcome to you. Little information coming into us. Just bring us up to date on what we do know about these reports of a strike on this hospital. And just give us a sense of the geography. You said it's in central Gaza and you described it as being run by the Baptist Church. So this would have been very well known, a location as a hospital.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly everyone in Gaza would have known where it was. It's actually not that far from the BBC office in Gaza. I've walked past it many times when I was working there. And it's, there's not a large Christian population in Gaza, but this was run by the Baptist Church. So every hospital in Gaza at the moment is not just a place where they're treating thousands of casualties. It's also a place where people are seeking shelter. We've seen the pictures from Shifa Hospital, also in Gaza City, where you've got thousands of people camped out in the hospital and in the hospital grounds, and we think it will have been the same there.
Yeah, and just looking for any kind of reaction from Israel. And as you mentioned, no response as yet. Do you think we can expect one fairly soon?
In an apparent Israeli airstrike, then that presumably is not going to go down very well.
Yeah, and give us a sense of, how many people may possibly have been there. I know it's impossible for you to say exactly, but given that so many people have been displaced and they have been moving to places of what they think is safety, like hospitals, like schools.
Yeah, look, we know that about 600,000 people have moved south after that warning from Israel to evacuate their homes last week. But there are lots of people who can't move or didn't want to move. The injured, 6 people killed there, including some UN staff, and the United Nations body there in Gaza calling that strike outrageous. We've got people just packed into anywhere they think might be safe. Apparently, in the south of Gaza, near Rafah, you've got 8,000 people packed into a warehouse with very, very limited facilities.
In the attack on the hospital in the Gaza Strip, a war crime, it said the hospital was housing hundreds of sick and wounded and people forcibly displaced from their homes as a result of other strikes. The statement says hundreds of victims are still under the rubble. Obviously, we just have their words at the moment. We are waiting for any kind of response from Israel, who have just said that they will look into it.